Thank you for viewing the preview of the Science Fiction Fantasy Middle School Reading Unit. I am going to give you a sneak peek inside the unit so that you can see exactly what you would receive if this unit was purchased. I'm going to start down here with what is included in each unit. It includes 20 fully scripted reading mini lessons that include that gradual release of responsibility. There is a student-friendly unit plan, a teacher unit plan, PowerPoint presentations for each mini lesson, screencastify videos for each mini lesson. They're about 5 minutes in length. They're perfect for distance learning, flipping your classroom, making the units into a playlist, or as a UDL option for students who would want to hear the lesson multiple times or in different ways. Question prompts each day for the reading mini lesson skill that the reading mini lesson is about that can be used in reading conferences or small group reading instruction. Prompts and questions and stopping points to use during interactive read aloud. Optional formative assessment for every mini lesson that has an accompanying proficiency rubric and is aligned to a specific Common Core reading standard. There is a model of each formative assessment that is completed, so you could show students what meeting proficiency looks like. The modeling is completed based off of popular middle school science fiction and fantasy books that are listed here, but I just want to make clear that this is a unit that's intended to be used with any science fiction or fantasy book for middle school. There is a summative assessment to use at the end of the unit that assesses 6 of the priority standards, 6 of the reading priority standards that are across the unit. It comes with a list of book recommendations for interactive read aloud, along with text set recommendations for small group reading instruction. They're all specific to that science fiction fantasy genre. Each mini lesson contains a reference sheet that could be used with a 3-ring binder, glued into students' reader's notebook, or turned into a classroom anchor chart. There's also a variety of resources and teacher guides to help you implement this approach that are listed here. There's exclusive links to training videos that I prepared to help implement the reading units and reading workshop effectively. You would have access to a private Facebook group for extra support. And all lessons, student handouts, and rubrics come in a PDF and in an editable version, so you can use these materials in any way that fits your teaching style and your students' needs. So this is the form of editable Word documents that could easily be uploaded to Google Drive, converted into Google Docs, Google Slides, for ease of use in Google Classroom. The reading units are intended to be a year-long reading curriculum. Could also use the reading mini lessons included in the different reading units as you need them across the year if you're not doing reading units. They are aligned to the Common Core state standards, and the standards spiral across each unit. I do have samples of what a scope and sequence of the units could look like depending on your teaching situation. I've listed off the different units that are going to be available, the different reading components in each lesson, the daily structure, and then here is the reading unit plan for the science fiction fantasy reading unit. So as you can see, 20 unique mini lesson statements designed for science fiction and fantasy books aligned to the Common Core state standards. If the mini lesson is also on the summative assessment, that is indicated on the unit plan. All right, so now let's dive in and see what a mini lesson actually looks like. So I'm just going to hop in here to, let's go with mini lesson 9. So as you can see, for each mini lesson, it comes with editable docs, PDF docs, and then I have combined all the PDFs into one. If you are a teacher that likes to print things out and put them in a binder, if you want to see how the order of these things go together, it's in all one PDF document as well. So if we hop into the editable folder, you can see that every mini lesson comes with an exit ticket to be used as a formative assessment. The exit ticket is made so that you can upload it easily to Google Drive, put it on your Google Classroom, if that is something that you want to do. Every exit ticket also comes with a proficiency rubric that is written specific to the skill that you are assessing for that mini lesson. And the proficiency rubric has criteria for meets proficiency, approaches, minimal, and showing no evidence. There's also a reference sheet included with each mini lesson. So once again, this could be something that students put in a 3-ring binder. It could be something that students are gluing into a reader's notebook, putting in a language arts folder, or perhaps it's something that you create an anchor chart on and post in your classroom. Every mini lesson also includes a PowerPoint presentation, which once again could be uploaded and converted into Google Slides very easily. So I use these and have them guide my lesson and keep me on track throughout a class period as I'm going through the different parts of the reading mini lesson. So it's got the statement, a connection question, has that reference sheet available and visual for students. There's an oral reading fluency piece with a connection to the daily mini lesson, interactive read aloud reminders for the stopping points, a place for you to input vocabulary from the interactive read aloud for that day if that's something you want to do, reminders of what students are going to be asked to do that day, a visual of what a completed exit ticket would look like showing proficiency using a variety of science fiction and fantasy books that middle schoolers will probably be familiar with. The have a go is when we gradually release that responsibility to students, have them review information and start discussing what they're going to be doing during that application, being able to speak it out before they do the work independently. And then the last part is when they'd hop into the application and they would actually complete the exit ticket, which is the formative assessment. And this is also the time where, as students are reading their science fiction or fantasy book, completing their exit ticket, this is the perfect time for that small group instruction or to complete reading conferences. Bring students back at the end and share out the work that they did as readers for that day. Every mini lesson also comes with a mini lesson plan for the teacher, comes with a teaching point, a student connection question, directions for the oral reading fluency, ideas for stopping points in the interactive read aloud, directions for the modeling and have a go, an application, question prompts to use for reading conferences or reading strategy small groups that are written specifically for that mini lesson to dive deeper into it, and then a reminder to come back for the share at the end. So that's the teacher view of the lesson plan. Then it also includes the modeling example where you can show students what proficiency would look like. If you want to redo this example to match your interactive read aloud, that's a great option as well. Once again, these all come in PDF too, and all as one document together for each mini lesson. The other piece that I want to show you really quickly is that there's an end of the unit formative assessment included. So this is something that you can give to students at the end of the unit to summatively assess their knowledge across the unit. And it comes with the proficiency rubrics, comes with one question for each of those priority standards aligned to the Common Core. The last thing I want to show you is this resource folder. So there's just so much information in here, but there's a resource to make a unit wall. There's also a bunch of teacher resources and guides for reading conferences, for small group reading instructions, specifically for guided reading, and then also for literature circles, additionally for reading strategy groups. And there's also just some great information about which small group reading instruction should you pick. There are reading unit plans. So the unit plans, they're made so that they're different formats. So this would be the student view example where they can keep track of how they do on their formative assessment daily. They can write the date that each mini lesson is completed and kind of own that learning and be able to look ahead. There's also just an example of what the teacher view could look like once you put in your plan. So once you put in your interactive read aloud plan and also your dates that you want to teach each mini lesson. This is the blank one of those for you to fill in or collaborate with your teammates on, to make that complete. And then here's just more of that general one that lists out the 20 mini lesson statements and the standard that they're aligned to. There's also a unit understanding that comes with this reading unit. And then the last piece, the books. So I have a list of the different books that were used for the different pieces of the modeling examples that I show. So a variety of science fiction and fantasy books there. And then also book recommendations. So recommendations for interactive read aloud, and then recommendations for text sets that you could use with students. So that is a quick overview of everything that is included in the science fiction fantasy reading unit. Please let me know, ask a question if you have any questions about this. Keep in mind that there are also other reading units that you could put together to create your year-long reading curriculum. Thank you so much for dropping by and joining me.